You're 7 years old, sitting in a treehouse with your best friend Danny. You're making a pact, the kind only kids make with absolute seriousness. You carve your initials into the wood with his pocket knife. "Brothers forever," he says, and you believe him with every fiber of your being. Danny lives 3 houses down in the same broke neighborhood where dreams go to die. His old man is a drunk who uses his fists more than his words. Your dad walked out before you could even remember his face. Both of you are growing up with single moms barely keeping the lights on. The difference between you and Danny shows up early. You're the kid who does homework at the library until closing time. Danny's the kid who's already stealing candy from the corner store at 9. But none of that matters, because you're brothers, and brothers stick together. When Danny gets jumped by older kids, you take a beating right alongside him. When your mom can't afford school supplies, Danny steals you a backpack. It's a twisted kind of loyalty, but it's the only kind you know. High school hits, and the gap between you starts widening like a canyon. You're grinding for straight A's, eyes locked on a college scholarship. Danny's running with a crew that's graduated from petty theft to real crime. You try to talk sense into him, but he just laughs it off. "You're gonna be somebody," he tells you, with genuine pride in his voice. "Me? I'm gonna get mine the only way this neighborhood allows." You hate that he's probably right, but you refuse to accept it. Senior year, you get accepted to State University with a full academic ride. Danny gets arrested for armed robbery, but catches a break with a rookie public defender. He does 18 months in county instead of 5 years in state prison. You visit him exactly once, and the conversation is painful and hollow. You realize you're living in 2 different universes now, and the distance isn't measured in miles. You graduate college with honors and get accepted to law school. Danny gets out and immediately falls back in with the same crew. You tell yourself you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. You focus on your career with the intensity of a man running from his past. Law school is brutal, but you attack it like your life depends on it, because in a way, it does. It's your only ticket out of that neighborhood. You graduate top of your class and land a job at the district attorney's office. You're prosecuting the same kinds of people you grew up with. The irony isn't lost on you, but you tell yourself you're one of the good guys now. You're putting away criminals and making the streets safer. You're doing what Danny never could. You're actually making a difference. 5 years of relentless prosecution earns you a reputation as a hammer. You don't plea bargain. You don't show mercy. You just rack up convictions. The governor notices and appoints you to a vacant judgeship at 34 years old. You're one of the youngest judges in the state, and the press loves the story. Poor kid from the ghetto makes good, becomes the honorable judge on the bench. Your mom cries at your swearing-in ceremony, and for a moment, everything feels worth it. You've climbed out of the hole that swallowed so many people you knew. You've become exactly what 7-year-old you dreamed about in that treehouse. Then comes the case that changes everything in the worst possible way. You're reviewing your docket for the week when you see the name, Daniel Martinez. Your heart stops because you know exactly how many Daniel Martinezes exist in the world. You open the file, and there's his mugshot staring back at you. Danny, your brother from another mother, looking 10 years older than his age. The charges make your blood run cold. Felony murder during an armed robbery. A store clerk died. An innocent father of 3 just trying to make a living. Danny was the getaway driver, but under state law, that makes him just as guilty. The DA is pushing for maximum sentencing, 25 years to life. You know you should recuse yourself immediately, no question about it, but something stops you. Some twisted part of you that needs to see this through. You tell yourself you can be impartial, that justice is blind for a reason. The trial lasts 3 weeks, and you watch Danny sit at the defense table. He's trying to look tough, but you can see the scared kid underneath. The evidence is overwhelming. Cameras, witnesses, forensics, the whole package. His court-appointed lawyer is overworked and underprepared, barely putting up a fight. You want to intervene, to guide the defense, to give Danny a fighting chance, but you can't because you're the judge. And judges don't take sides. The jury deliberates for 4 hours, and comes back with a guilty verdict on all counts. Danny's face crumbles when he hears the word guilty echo through the courtroom. For a split second, his eyes meet yours, and the recognition hits him like a truck. He mouths your name, not as a question, but as an accusation. Now comes the part that's going to haunt you for the rest of your natural life. Sentencing is scheduled for 2 weeks out, giving you time to review everything. You read the victim impact statements from the dead clerk's family. 3 kids who'll grow up without a father because Danny needed fast cash. You read Danny's pre-sentence report, a catalog of every bad choice he's ever made. But you also remember the kid who split his lunch with you when you had nothing. You remember the brother who took a beating so you wouldn't have to fight alone. The night before sentencing, you do something you've never done as a judge. You arrange a private meeting with the defendant in a secure room. Danny walks in wearing chains, and the sound alone makes you want to throw up. He sits down across from you, and for a long moment neither of you speaks. "You really made it," he finally says, without a trace of bitterness. "I always knew you would, brother. I just knew I wouldn't." You want to scream at him, to ask why he threw his life away so carelessly. But you already know the answer, because you both started from the same place. The only difference is you caught a break, and he caught a bullet with his name on it. "I can't save you," you tell him, and your voice cracks despite your best effort. "I know," Danny replies, and there's something like peace in his acceptance. "Just promise me one thing. Don't let this job turn you into stone. Stay human, brother. That's the only thing that separates us from animals." The next morning, the courtroom is packed with press and spectators. The victim's family sits on one side, Danny's elderly mother on the other. You take the bench, and the weight of the black robe feels like 1,000 pounds. The DA argues for the maximum, painting Danny as a career criminal beyond redemption. The defense attorney makes a half-hearted plea for leniency that convinces no one. Then it's your turn to speak, to hand down the sentence that will define a life. You look at Danny, and for a heartbeat, you're both 7 years old again. You're in that treehouse, carving initials and making promises about forever. But childhood is a country you can never return to, no matter how hard you try. "Mr. Martinez," you begin, and your voice is steady despite the earthquake inside. "This court has considered all factors, including your prior record and the nature of this crime. A man is dead, a family is destroyed, and you played a direct role in that tragedy." You pause, and the silence in the courtroom is absolutely suffocating. However, the court also acknowledges that poverty and circumstance are not excuses, but they are context. You made choices, terrible choices, but you're not beyond the possibility of redemption. The DA's face goes red because she knows what's coming next. "Therefore, this court sentences you to 15 years in state prison, with possibility of parole after 10. It's well below the maximum, and the courtroom erupts in controlled chaos. The victim's family is shouting about injustice and corruption. The press is scribbling furiously, smelling blood in the water. Danny's mother is sobbing, whether from relief or grief, you can't tell. And Danny, he just nods once, a gesture that says he understands. You bang the gavel and exit the bench before anyone can see you break. The fallout is immediate and absolutely devastating to your career. The DA files a complaint with the Judicial Review Board for bias. The press crucifies you as a soft-on-crime judge who lets criminals walk. The victim's family launches a petition to have you removed from the bench. Your colleagues distance themselves from you like you've got a contagious disease. Within 6 months, you're facing a recall election that you lose spectacularly. You're removed from the bench in disgrace, your reputation completely destroyed. The law firms that used to court you now won't return your calls. You end up doing contract work, reviewing documents in a windowless office. It's a humiliating fall from grace, and you have no one to blame but yourself. But here's the thing that keeps you up at night, staring at the ceiling. You don't regret the sentence, not for a single second of any day. You looked at the law, you looked at justice, and you chose mercy. Maybe it was the wrong call legally, but it was the right call as a human being. 7 years pass, and you've built a quiet life in mediocrity. You're teaching law at a community college, which is ironic in the worst way. Then you get a letter forwarded from your old chambers, postmarked from state prison. It's from Danny, and your hands shake as you open the envelope. The letter is short, but carries the weight of a lifetime in every word. He tells you he's been clean for 5 years and earned his GED behind bars. He's teaching other inmates to read and working toward a paralegal certificate. He's up for parole next year, and he's got a job lined up at a re-entry program. The last line guts you. You gave me something I never had before, a second chance at being human. I won't waste it, brother. I promise you that on everything we carved into that treehouse. You fold the letter and let yourself cry for the first time in 7 years. You sacrificed your career, your reputation, and your entire future for one act of mercy. And maybe, just maybe, it was worth every single thing you lost. Because the law is supposed to be blind, but justice is supposed to see. And sometimes, being a good judge means being a terrible judge in the eyes of the law.